Welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes with DailyStraits.com. This is your host, June Rumley. Our guest today is Singapore-based Gwendolyn Regina, who leads BNB Chain's investments. Launched last year, the BNB Chain aims to bring 1 billion crypto users on board, boosting the adoption of BNB Chain and the wider blockchain industry. With the fund, Gwen's main responsibility includes streamlining processes around deal sourcing, investment strategy, portfolio management, and growth. As part of the role, she invests in promising projects in Web3 and MetaFi space, GameFi, SocialFi, NFTs, etc. And she also leads the most valuable builder incubation program, which she herself set up. So Gwen has spent over 16 years across media, technology, blockchain, and Web3 sectors across the Asia Pacific, Paris, and Silicon Valley. So our chat today with Gwen is going to be revolved around her association with the fund she leads and other matters. So hi Gwen, thank you so much for joining us today from Singapore. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me, June and Daily Straits. It's been fun to start this conversation.
Awesome. So you have we'll just dive right in this right into the question. So actually, you're very interesting. You've worn many hats in the past, and you've also worked with Facebook, Meta, and so you recently made. I think 8 months ago, you were made to lead this whole BNB chain. So tell us how you got this job in the first place. Like,
Yeah, thanks, June. Actually, now it's closer to 10 months already. Time really flies. So, my background's always been entrepreneurial and entrepreneurial. I started a few things. I launched a few things in Asia Pacific, including a role at Meta, where I pioneered Southeast Asia's first kind of VC and startup accelerator program with a particular slant. So that was super interesting run as well. And how I got this role at BNB Chain was, I've always been into technology, paradigm shifts, right? Tech is really my core. And I first saw Bitcoin in 2010, was really amazed by the life-changing potential of the technology, and I didn't do anything with it for like 7 years because I was running a few businesses, super busy, heads down, struggling entrepreneur back then, right? And fast forward to 2017, I started getting back into it. And but it was only this time was the first time that was like a quote unquote a full-time role, right? Where I could dedicate 24/7 of my time, into the space. So yeah, I talked to the company, and I told them what I like to do. My background, entrepreneurial, global market expansion, investments, and they're like, hey, we've got we need all these skill sets. Let's have you do this, right? So it was a very organic process. It was a very good process where I felt like the team HR, the team listened to who I was and kind of like really match made the role for me. It wasn't listed anywhere, right? It is not wasn't responding to a job listing or anything. So that's a really good process where I felt that they were very focused on the person in front of you and the talent in front of you.
awesome. Okay, so years ago, an occupation like yours never existed. So as such, can you describe what your day to day looks like with this current role?
Yeah, well, this particular role didn't exist years and years ago, but generally I would say that for my career I've always been in similar roles, in a sense that I'm always at the cutting edge of technology. I'm always talking to entrepreneurs and developers and investors on the ground, looking at new innovations, be it product innovation or business model innovation. So for me, nothing much has changed essentially, right? So on the zooming in, when you ask on day to day, kind of operationally, I have many calls, many meetings. I think on a daily basis, I do on average about 35 hours. My calendar tells me I do an average of 34.5 or 35 hours of calls, meetings, and there's still the rest of work that needs to be done, right? Like actual sitting down, reading, looking at investment memos, looking at various things. Yeah, so it's always talking to entrepreneurs, talking to fellow investors, talking also internally, because ultimately, when you're building something from the ground up, and internally here at BNB Chain, we are such a small and relatively young team, right? Where BNB Chain is year and a half old, um, almost 2 years soon, right? I mean, I joined again like 10 months ago, but really it's been a small team that's managed to grow BNB Chain to really the most used blockchain with 1 million daily active users, right? It's amazing feat. Kudos to the rest of the team and the OG team that really started this. So a lot of it requires internal coordination as well, because you do have, again, like any kind of company or startup, right, you do need different expertise and skill sets to grow something, right? So this is the core team that works with the wider community. So we do have the tech developers, we do have people focused on marketing, people on ops, events, myself doing a bunch of things, investments, BD, right? Operational stuff, as you mentioned, because when you're building, it's making sure that collectively all your team members are focused on one goal, doing your respective roles well, but yet be able to again coordinate. So in a team, coordination cost is one of the highest costs. It's very hidden, right? But it's one of the most important costs to really take note of. So yeah, so my day-to-day consists of external, internal meetings as well, and a lot of yeah, just solo work where I have to again dive and digest stuff.
Awesome. Okay. So, I would like this to come from you. So, in a nutshell, can you explain how this thing that you're heading has a connection with Binance?
Yeah, so Binance kicked off BNB Chain like again September 2020, right? So originated from Binance. But as you know, in a Web3 world, in the decentralized world, it's owned by the community, it's owned by many people, right? So we are 1,300 dApps strong, more counting. We've got 21 validators moving to 41 now. So we've got a bunch of people and community leaders who've been all been supporting BNB Chain, and Binance is a contributor as well, just a very large one, right? They've put in a lot of resources as well. So ultimately, when we look at the whole ecosystem, we always think bigger, right? Which is, what is the pie? And Binance as a mothership, as like with so many resources and conglomerate to some extent, just many products and many teams that we work closely with as well. And yeah, we also work a lot of community leaders. We work with a lot of builders of dApps, entrepreneurs, security auditors, right? A lot of people from the community as well. So we'll bring them all together to make sure that we'll all have that larger goal in mind in terms of growing crypto and for us growing BNB Chain.
Okay, so in recent days, right, there's been a lot of unfavorable news going around with the cryptocurrency sphere. So I have no idea, but I just wanted to check with you. Has this affected your BNB fund in any way in moving forward?
Markets will always go up and down. You cannot escape them, right? So if someone is in the market and hoping to be out of the woods and to escape them, I mean, it's impossible. That's literally part of, I don't know, society or economic growth cycles, right? So in terms of affecting us, at BAB Chain, no, because we've always been just focused on finding, investing, working with the builders on the ground, right? So in fact, when markets are down, it's when you see the FOMO money maybe run out, right? Which is good, because you leave behind the serious builders, people who really believe in the technology, in the space, what they're doing for the long run. And these are people who um are here whatever the market say, right? So personally, I like this space more. There is less noise to some extent as well, right? Every single day now, you're not bombarded by like, oh, that coin went up, I don't know, whatever, 10,000%, and then people is like, what's this new thing? Is it legitimately good, or is it just just all hype, right? So and sometimes in bull markets, the negative there is that you have to deal with a lot of noise as well, right? So yeah, so for us, ultimately, sure, we're looking at markets for sure, right? It does affect the whole market in general. It affects valuations for sure. It affects runways of the projects we're investing in. Like, if they have no money in the bank, in the treasury, no new players or people coming in, can their business model, their tokenomics sustain, right? So it affects a lot of things, don't get me wrong, right? But in terms of affecting us at BNB Chain, um largely speaking, on a day-to-day work basis, no, right? But it does affect when we talk to projects again, like the questions, not say change, but it's now the projects have more, um they realize that there's more to be aware of, essentially. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so can you give us a lowdown on some of your current investments?
Yeah. So we made quite a few quite recently that is very, very interesting. So I'll highlight kind of maybe two. So one project that we really like is Alethea.ai. So Alethea.ai basically brings AI to NFTs. So think intelligent NFTs, INFTs, right? So they bring GPT-3 technology to AIs, where you can later on, have your own avatar. You're literally talking avatar that can respond to people as well. So you can train it with data, with things that you normally say, and voice. I think later on, not now, is quite robotic voices, but again, technology evolves, right? So basically, creating intelligent NFTs that can talk to you. So there's been quite a few examples online already. The other project that we really like is Windcast as well. So Windcast allows you to bid live on, so it's an live auction on a sporting NFT, for example. So let's imagine we're all watching a soccer or football game, right? And there's a free kick, right? The guy or girl, right, is about to kick, into the goal, and it may be a goal or may not be a goal, right? But people can bid live for that, potential, like a GIF, like a video, right? And it becomes a goal. It may be worth a lot. So it's still launching, but I'm very excited about that, because it really can change a few things. Can change the spotting space, can change again live space, but more importantly, it brings several elements together which are very innovative. Get live auctions, but for spotting events, and typically, you see replays, on the TV or something on YouTube, right? But now imagine if you can own an NFT or that particular goal. I mean, that's really exciting.
Okay, so just to be clear, are you like a VC, like a venture capitalist? Like you?
So my background, I first started in investments in 2007. Yeah, so a very long time ago, even before graduating college, actually. So that kind of shows my age. But yeah, so I've been investing both with funds as well as individually for a very long time. And yeah, so here my role is really about finding the good projects and innovative projects to invest in. So my background is, I always, again, you heard my introduction at the beginning, I'm an entrepreneur and operator and investor. So that's me.
Okay, great. So, how do you find all these wonderful projects to invest in? So, tell us more about BNB Chain hackathons, which gives away up to 10 million in prizes and seed funding. So, that's one. And the second one, I wanted to ask you, what kind of, like, in these hackathons, right? Most hackathons, they're looking for companies who can solve problems. But are you also looking for the same, or you're looking for new and innovative ideas?
Yeah, so the key thing about the hackathon for us is really about growing top of the funnel, right? Ultimately, tech innovation, a lot of it is driven by technology, thus driven by developers and builders, right? So Revelation, we concluded it a few weeks ago. It was the first really global, BNB Chain hackathon, 50-day event. Actually, it was supporting multi-chain. Actually, that's more important. So, for us, we, received like hundreds of applications. We selected in the end, we had 6 tracks, basically 3 winners each. So it was tough choice actually, because I was part of the judging pool as well. And innovation is abundant. My gosh, right? It was difficult to actually select, but of course, you also have a mixed bag, right? Where it's maybe not so innovative, or others which is innovative, but you're like, it's so new, and it's just a smidgen of an idea, right? How can is it just an idea, or can it actually turn to the product, right? So for us, we're always looking for innovation, right? For BNB Chain, again, our goal is to grow crypto to its first billion users. That includes a lot of things. That includes, bridging Web 2 to Web 3. That includes bridging the retail users, bringing the mass users on board, bringing mass use cases on board. But also then, thinking ahead. How can you build for a blockchain world, Web 3 world, for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now? You need builders to be innovative. You need builders to be thinking of combining themes, combining, composability of the blockchain, for example, right? So we're looking for all that. So we really want new ideas, but more importantly, we want sustainable ideas, right? So when we select projects, they have to show us, how new it is. We want to understand what unique way are you looking at the problem or the market, or what unique way are you looking at the solution for an old problem, right? So I want to be surprised or impressed by how you're able to bring in your different expertise to again relook with fresh eyes. And so then more importantly then sustainability. So business model, tokenomics, is it sustainable? Is your algorithms backing whatever you have, or your value chain that you've created, is it relying on just new players like coming in all the time, right? Or is there a loop in your economy that is again that is sustainable? So that's important, because we're not here to just invest or work with just fireflies, just burning bright for just like 1 second, and then you go off, right? We are here looking for projects and builders that have the vision and have the ability to create a project that can last and literally change the industry.
Okay, so as part of your role, you're tasked in investing in promising projects within the Web3, MetaFi space, GameFi space, SocialFi, NFTs. So all these decisions, right, are these solely made by you, or do you have a team that help you make these decisions?
Yeah, great question. So for us, we do have, there's a lot of agency in each person, right? So we make sure that we give the investments team, even the BD team, when they decide which projects to work with, a lot of agency. But ultimately, we have an investment committee. So for me personally, I would voice my opinion. We'll write. Again, we have investment memos, right? We do all of that. All the typical process that you have, due diligence process, investment committee process of a typical fund, we do have that. And so investment committee then, consists of a bunch of other people to contribute their expertise, their opinions, insights, because sometimes you may miss things, right? And you want just a diversity of opinions. But one thing I would also say is that it's not about by consensus, because the whole thing about innovation sometimes is that the most brilliant ideas can seem crazy, right? There's been many examples in the past where you take in a Web 2 world, there have been many Web 2 VCs that actually have something called the anti-portfolio, where they rejected big companies like investing into PayPal, Meta, and stuff like that, right? So kudos to them, being proud of the fact that, hey, we saw them, but we said no to investing, right? So again, so sometimes the crazy, brilliant ideas just look so iffy. So, but ultimately, the investment committee is meant to give you that broad base of, again, poking holes, right? But ultimately, the way investment, like innovation is done or is selected is sometimes can be very subjective, and sometimes you just need conviction from one person, right? So we do have all that, where we want to make sure that we are effectively, again, making sure that people we're able to poke enough holes, right? But at the same time, we do allow for a lot of agency and conviction thesis.
Okay, great. So, with a busy schedule like yours, right? How do you keep up to date with all things crypto or latest development within the sphere? And where or what do you read to keep yourself up to date with the latest news?
Yeah, I read a lot. I'm not gonna name names because I do read a lot. I pay for some of them as well. Um, yeah, I pay a lot of money for some of them as well. We also have some internal team subscriptions to a few stuff. Yeah, so I do a few things. Twitter is one, because crypto Twitter is one. I subscribe to a lot of newsletters. I don't read them all, but there's a few I really read quite diligently. And actually, I wish I could spend more time as well. I think one thing I'll really mention, two things maybe I'll really mention would be Delphi Digital is really great. Masari does really great stuff as well. Yeah, the reports are all amazing. Nansen also does really good reports. So sorry, I said I wouldn't mention names, but yeah, why not? But yeah, so I do read quite a few of them. And sometimes also our team, there's the research team also comes in with some research of the market. So that's also helpful because honestly, there's just so much going on in the market that it's really hard to know 100%. I would say that, if anyone says that they know 100% of what's going on, I would say that's not correct. That's a bunch of balderdash, right? So you can only try your best.
Okay, so author Neil Stevenson coined the term metaverse in his 1992 science fiction novel Snow Crash, with the envision of a virtual reality based successor to the internet. In the novel, people use digital avatars of themselves to explore the online world, often as a way of escaping a dystopian reality. So, many people often find this a sad reality of what's to come in life. So, in your opinion, right, what do you think? What do you make out of this?
Um, so I love Neil Stevenson. That for some reason that particular book I still haven't read. I think I really need to bump it up my priority reading list. For me, so I first saw. Okay, can I just go back to a personal story, June?
Yeah, sure.
So in 1996, 1997, I had like probably my first major computer, right? The Blueberry iMac. And I surfed onto the internet for, I don't know how often, but anyway, I surfed on the internet actually very often. And I chanced upon this virtual train station, like literally 3D train station. Imagine back in 96, 97, that was super new. I mean, my mind was blown as when I was a very, very young kid. And with my arrow keys, I could move my avatar, my avatar could be running up and down the virtual train station. And I was hooked. I was like, wow, you with like 2D code, you could create like 3D world, right? So my mind was blown. So for me, that's like I've come full circle almost, right? Because we have online lives now. We have Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Instagram, right? And now with metaverse, it's basically same like you mentioned, VR, 3D. It's just a new name to some extent, right? But again, Neil Stevenson was ahead of his time as well. So in this new world, where what I really see is the merging of online and offline. You already have different identities. So if you look at my social media profiles, actually, every single social media profile, my location is a different universe. Universe 123, universe 456. Every single social media profile of mine, um, it's my own way of making a joke where every single social media profile you see of me, you're seeing a different side of me because there's no one social media profile that can truly capture all of you, right? So because they all allow for different experiences and different modes of engagement. So the way I see it is that your physical and online life is really fragmented based on the platforms you use. Again, even in the physical world, your friends who know you from school, your friends who know you from work, your friends who know you from, I don't know, whatever sport or dance or hobby that you do, know you in a different light. So the way I look at it, what we have today is that you have many different ways, form factors, so to speak, of engaging with yourself, engaging with the world, presenting yourself, presenting to the world, and then being social, right? And it's neither good nor bad. It's just an evolution of technologies, evolution of modes of engagement, and this will continue to evolve. So for me, I embrace, technology in all its good and bad to some extent, right? Of course, I embrace the good, but the bad, when I say embrace it, it means that you cannot reject it. A tool is a tool, technology is technology. How you use it is really how you use it. So you have to be aware of what negatives or repercussions a potential piece of tool or technology can have. And then either you self-modulate, right? You regulate yourself, or from a society-wide level, maybe there could be policies that could be implemented that could help society regulate itself, right? But ultimately, when I look at it, I take away the word metaverse, take away, other kinds of like buzzwords to some extent. It may change again later on, right? But ultimately, what I embrace here is the fact that we have many ways now of engaging with owning our own content. Again, you talk about a jump from Web 2 to Web 3 world. Web 2 world, we didn't own what we produced, right? In a Web 3 world, we have the ability now to share in the creation of my favorite music celebrities, upcoming album, for example, and get a share of his profits back as a fan, right? And other ways of engagement. And so I think this is the beauty of it, where this universe, this world that we're living in now is multifaceted.
Okay, so you don't think it's sad? It's a sad outcome or sad reality that we are going into?
No, because okay, so my answer is more nuanced than that. If let's say if I see someone literally just playing so that they're gamers in the world that are professional gamers, right? So that's one thing, they treat it really like a full sport and stuff like that. But on the other hand, if I see a person who is mindless, okay, the key is mindlessly gaming, let's say, just clicking, a farm or whatever it is, and earning money and living, I will feel sad. So when Axie Infinity really blew up, I was in two minds about it, I can say. One is that it's amazing looking at how it enabled, some people on the ground to now be able to buy a new ironing board or oven or whatever it is, right? And then be able to escape poverty. That was beautiful. The other part of me was sad in the sense that what if we enabled a whole, mass of people who literally just do mindless gaming? So again, the different kinds of gaming. I'm not saying that all gaming is bad, right? Gaming, you learn many skills, social skills and you can coordinate coordination skills. So if it's just mindless gaming, or mindless scrolling, let's say in a web, on our phones, then it's sad. Yes. Right. But again, you have to look at it. For me, I kind of look at it again, Zuma as a whole, which is that there are good and bad parts of technology. There are good and bad parts of engagement. And if you're cognizant of the potential negatives and repercussions, then you can try to mitigate against that. If there's so I think then the question then is that how can as a person, regulate yourself, right? So for myself, I do put some timer limits, lock limits on some of the apps. I am not the best at it, right? But I try to switch off my phone as well, as an example. When I again jump to the examples of the Neil Stephenson example that you gave, people just mindlessly living online. Yes, to some extent, except but you know what? To each our own, right? To some extent, I don't want to judge other people as well. So for me, when I look at it, there's always a totality of good and bad, and there's a totality of opinions. I think that's more important. So, would I want a society where we're all like, mindless drones, copying and following algorithms and stuff like that? In fact, I've written an essay before on this as well, where, when we're online, when we're engaging in the online world, let's say Facebook or Twitter, we are presented content presented to us by algorithms that curate based on our own bubble, right? I think that's not good. in that if you all exist in your own bubble, then what, like, how can your mind grow, right? Because you need diverse opinions, you need conflicting opinions to also grow. But if you're aware of it, then you can escape it, right? So I actually have some friends, for example, who have very differing viewpoints from mine. I keep them as friends, right? Or I talk to them. So I think it's important to realize, what part of technology that you yourself don't like, and then by knowing it, you can actively take steps to escape the negatives of it. So that's how I personally engage with it. I've gone on a monologue, but yes, continue, June, on that line of thought if you want.
No, actually, I wanted to ask you back on we'll go back to BNB Chain. So, you have a big plan to onboard 1 billion users. So, I think at the moment it's at 2 million, or is it?
So yeah, our all-time high on a daily basis was 2.27 million.
Okay, so 1 billion is practically like almost the whole world, right? I mean, a big population. So, how do you plan to achieve this?
So ultimately, when you look at mass crypto adoption, I think it's gonna come earlier than what we expect, right? You really see the adoption curves of different technologies over the last few decades. It always takes faster and faster to reach, a mass user adoption. Second is that how we plan to achieve this is that, again, mass use cases. So we've seen DeFi come alive about 2.5 years ago. GameFi come alive over the last year or so. Last year and a half or so. But it was GameFi that really took the masses, right? It was the first time, so to speak, that the traditional media even was covering it. The average person who knew did not follow the space, right? Again, playing games and being able to benefit from the beauty of blockchain and Web3 and decentralization, the decentralized world. So it's about finding such use cases like this where we're able to reinvent, mass use cases, but also distribute a lot of the ownership back to the users. So think about SocialFi, right? We have, SocialFi needs to be reinvented. There are people looking into it as well, stuff like that. Then there are many things that I think within SocialFi that can be that I don't know, that I know that I don't know, rather, right? So one example that we've seen do really well in terms of SocialFi is MusicFi, which is, I guess, a subset. Depends on how you cut it, right? And so CoreWrite is a MusicFi project on BNB Chain that allows, again, music celebrities to work with their fans on the next album, on the upcoming release. So Alan Walker, one of the world's most famous DJs, he worked with his fans, who many of them contributed different aspects of it. One, some contributed like a drum beat, some contributed like a guitar sound or whatever, and they all contributed to collaborate and create Alan Walker's upcoming release called Unity. So stuff like that, you're able to, again, get the whole community involved in the success of your journey, and I think that's beautiful. So stuff like that, I think, will bring in more people into the space, and this is where we think we can hit 1 billion users. But what is also important to say is that it's not our goal to just, in a sense, blindly convert people. It's not about that. It's more like we really believe that this technology has the potential and beauty of, again, allowing more people in the community to share in the success of something together. And with that, more people should be able to share in the success of technology and society themselves as well, rather than just passively consuming something.
Okay.
So yeah.
Awesome. Okay. And all right. That is all the time that we have for today. We have just been speaking to Gwendolyn Regina of BNB Chain. Thank you so much, Gwen, for joining us today.
Thank you so much, June and DailyStraits. Thank you, and have a great day or evening.
Awesome. The pleasure is all ours. Be sure to join us the next time as we aim to interview another awesome individual from across the globe. Thank you.